Well, the Quincy Human Rights Committee gathered tonight for a meeting at City Hall.
The committee brought in two presenters to discuss topics like human trafficking, grooming, and the influence of social media. WGEM's Gianni Peterson was at tonight's meeting and is live in Quincy with more. Gianni?
In America, thousands of people every single year are subject to human trafficking and grooming. During the meeting, it was discussed that no matter how big or small your community may be, trafficking happens everywhere. It was also brought up of the big factor that social media plays in grooming and trafficking, and how we may not know what conversations are going on on children's devices.
The humans or non-humans, considering AI, that may be on the other end of those devices, grooming our children, having conversations with them that they really shouldn't be having. It's become a strong problem these days.
Young also went on to say that a majority of trafficking cases in children happen through social media. The biggest sentiment of the meeting was to be that safe place to land, be that safe option so that people do not seek out the help or validation of a stranger. Live in Quincy, Gianni Peterson, WGEM News.
All right, thanks, Gianni. Roughly 27 million people across the world have been affected by human trafficking.